Hello, 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 everybody. I am so excited for yet another session here with our special guest on today, Dr. Carrington. He comes to us today to share with us from the field of health and science. We are glad for his book that he has brought to the table. I think he's just written this book. It is entitled Design for Health. And we are excited to be able to share this book with you on today. For the next following series sections, we are excited about our authors, our very own Marvin Clark. We also have Pastor Lola Moore, and we have our North American Division Publishing Director, Pastor Carl McWhorter. The month of October is going to be exciting, and you don't want to miss it. Just to let you know, Dr. Carrington, he has received from Oakwood University degree in biology and chemistry, and also his MD from upstate New York in Syracuse, and he also has a PhD in public health. And he comes to us highly qualified, and I'm just so excited to be able to have you here, Dr. Carrington. Welcome. How are you doing, sir?
Good to see you. Good to see you, Pastor. And I'm really, really happy to be with you this morning. I'm doing well despite challenges of COVID. Indeed, happy to be with you and to be a blessing to God this morning.
Yes, yes. So tell us, what fueled your passion to write this book, Design for Health?
Well, Pastor Madison, listen, after many years in class, it became quite apparent that the reason why we are not involved in terms of health outcomes is because we don't actually practice medicine as practically as we should. We like to do what we want to do, how we want to do it, when we want to do it. And then when problems arise, we want a cure immediately. But unfortunately, life doesn't work like that.
Sure.
The good did not create us to live like that. And when we sin, we die. The Bible says the soul that sinneth shall surely die. When we make mistakes, we pay for them. The Bible also says, whatever you sow, reap. So if you eat bad, you're going to reap bad health. You know, it's just the natural laws of living that the Creator made. So the designer for our health is the one who created the dimensions in which we should behave. And when we fail to follow the designer's plan, we reap those rewards. That the book is called Design for Health, because I want people to recognize that they need to follow the designers. When they follow the designer's plan, that is the best way to ensure quality health.
Yes, the designer, he has given us health. As a matter of fact, the word of God says that he gives us health in order that we may obtain wealth. And in your book, you said, I define health as the harmonious integration of an individual's physical, mental, social, and spiritual dimensions to sustain well-being. You also said life without health is like an infertile garden, showcasing stymied remnants of floral that once flourished, but now pitifully and patiently wait to be plowed under. The more severe the disability or disease, the barrenness. I mean, this garden, God has called us all to take care of, and when we don't, that garden unattended dies. How important are these different dimensions, right? To health?
They are extremely important. You one not really have one without the other and function well. You know, in our world, people place emphasis on physical health. They like to work out, look good, look fine, and stuff like that. And they think that if you're looking good physically, that you're doing well. But we know for sure that if that person does not have good, person is stressed out because of a divorce that they're going through, or a loss of a job person may be going through, it reacts adversely on the body, because certain biochemical functions within the body start to work or go awry. And as they go awry, it makes us unhealthy, even though we may look good on the outside. And the same thing may happen if we are not having good social, when we are lonely and feeling socially compromised, we are not the healthiest persons in the world. And above all, if we do not have spiritual health, we are, at least in my opinion, not at all healthy. Spiritual health is the key to living healthy. It is the thing that holds all the other things together, because when you're spiritually healthy, you get God directed evidences and words to put the physical, the social, and the mental together, and make those things combine so that they can work optimally. So I think spiritual health is the glue that holds the whole health system together in human existence. And we definitely need to make sure that we make all occur in our lives in a balanced way, so that we can be the best people that we can be as God intended us to be.
I mean, the spiritual health is so critical, and I believe the world in general is coming to grips with this. A lot of people are getting into your yogas, into your Eastern meditations, because we are made up of the image of God, and we are spirit. We have His spirit within us. That spirituality, is something that a lot of people feel as though they are being called and drawn out to. And I'm so glad for the church. There's some science to just the social interactions of being in church.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm sure you've crossed that research too. You said living healthy requires of the normal cellular function as long as possible. And so also you said avoiding lifestyles that war against the maintenance of normal cell function. Smoking, illicit drug use, exposure to environment and toxins is imperative. So when you look at this, mind, body, and spirit, when you allow these type of behaviors in your life, it off balance, I can imagine, this harmonious development of well-being. What would you say to that?
Yeah, man. As you just read that quote, every cell in our body is like an individual entity, and as we work to keep those cells healthy, we keep our bodies healthy. The minute one cell becomes dysfunctional, it can affect other cells and cause dysfunction in other cells. We see this in nature. If you have one bad apple in the barrel, spoil the whole barrel. And the reason why we get cancers and stuff like that is because cells start working awry. They don't function normally, and as they function abnormally, they hurt other cells and destroy the body. So when we smoke, when we get exposed to environmental toxins or use illicit drugs that affect the body adversely and that affect cells abnormally, then those cells can mutate and become damaged. And as they become damaged, they then become cancerous, or they die, and they cause us to age faster. Diseases that cause like cancers. Definitely do not want that to happen. Also, the deposition of toxins in our bodies, like in Alzheimer's disease, there is a deposition of a certain chemical that causes the brain not to function well anymore. And as a consequence, we need these chemicals or these deposits in our systems to be cleaned out. The best way to clean them out is never to let them get there in the first place.
Exactly.
We need to those things from getting into our bodies. And the designer has 9 ways in which for us not to allow those things to happen. So yes, we need to keep every cell in our body as healthy as possible, because the minute cells become dysfunctional, they start hurting other cells, and then they make our health in jeopardy, and they jeopardize our well-being.
I mean, I love the way you said that. You summed it up here. You said living healthy is not a comportment that can be left to chance, right? Health is a gift from nature's designer, but to maintain it, it must be. We have to learn, right, how to manage this fearful and wonderfully made body that God has given unto us. And this book really gives a lot of knowledge, that just not information, but that is transformational. So what we want our viewers and listeners here with us today to understand is the importance, right, of developing, and most of you may have been exposed, but developing a philosophy of health and a belief system that emphasize the use of curative and preventative measures. I mean, so in order to maintain the body, we have to have a knowledge of it, a philosophy about how to go about the maintenance and the growth and the development of it. Speak to us about the role that religion has played in the development of these philosophies, and how Adventism, God has placed us at the center as an example of developing this philosophy to help us maintain this body.
Yes, sir. Anytime you want to do something, you have to have a plan, a philosophy as to how you want to approach it. If you're going to build a house, you need to get blueprints. You need to know the foundation that you're going to lay the house on. You need how to erect this house properly, so as time goes by. In order to develop and maintain healthy bodies, we must have an underlying philosophy of health, what we need to do to make sure our bodies work well. Philosophy must be a sound one. It cannot be one that is built on fiction. It cannot be one that is built on fads. It has to be one that is built on sound data, sound evidence. And we know from the Word of God, from the designer, that his ideals for health encourage us to practice certain behaviors that allow us to live healthy in this world today. And unless to practice those behaviors, then we're going to find ourselves behind the ball. We are given a diet that outlines how we ought to eat and what we ought to eat, what we ought not to eat, so that our body is healthy. We are given ideals on how to reduce stress in our bodies, how to depend upon the Almighty God, how to come apart and rest, and given the idea of a Sabbath rest that comes once a week, that we can separate ourselves stress and trauma of this world and build a deeper and more meaningful relationship with our God. We have been given ideas on socialization, how we need to hang out with each other, and how we need to hang out with the right people of each other. We go to church and we intermingle, and research showed that those kinds of activities help to make us healthier people and help to make us better people. And when we understand and create a philosophy that is built on those kind of foundational beliefs, those kind of foundational principles that the designer has for us, then we become healthy people that we need to be, especially in these final days of Earth's history for us as Seventh-day Adventists. We need to have healthy minds, so that we can live for and do the things that God wants us to do. And in this book, we try to bring that to a head for everybody, not just for Seventh-day Adventists, but for everyone in the world, so that they can know what is best for us as we build healthy bodies, healthy minds, healthy lives, and we have the foundational principles on which to build. That's what I want people to take away from reading this book, because they need to know that these foundational principles are important, and these foundational principles they promote prevention, so that as you prevent the things that can cause you to be unhealthy, you can make yourself a better person, a healthier person, and live longer than the rest of the people in the world, especially when we practice, especially those of us who practice principles that God has outlined for us.
You know, I'm glad that you said that. A couple of things I want to just nail down that you said. You talked about prevention. So we must understand that in the healthcare, a lot of it is focused on curative measures to restore health, rather than measures to maintain health, preventative. And, you know, as Seventh-day Adventists, God has given us a lot of principles to share with the world on the balance and importance of preventative. It is so important because, you know, when we get caught up in, you know, the insurances and the time waits of the healthcare system, sometimes, you know, it could be detrimental in some instances. But if we can, before the disease come, have the philosophy to prevent a lot of what we experience, I believe that we can have this well-being. And you know, I don't want anyone here to think that that just because you do preventative measures, contract disease, because I know, you know, people who have lived healthy, Dr. Carrington, that still have come down with, you know, ailments. But we believe by God's power, the spiritual part that you mentioned, the divine power, the trust in God, we believe that ultimately he's the one that heals, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha. Now, you also said the World Health Organization, who define health as not merely the absence of disease, but the presence of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So health is not just you being absent from disease. Then you also said, and this is to piggyback on what you said, that it's not just about the individual. You hope that the individuals who read this book, it helps the larger community, you know, on developing this philosophy of health.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we don't only want health for a selected people. We want good health. Yeah,
everybody.
Yes.
Now, Seventh-day Adventists have been identified in Loma Linda, California, as one of those blue zones, right? It is the blue zone in the United States. Tell us what is the whole ordeal about these blue zones?
Well, blue zones are little pockets in societies where researchers have noted that people who that people live longer and enjoy a unique quality of health that is not enjoyed by the rest of the population. So this Loma Linda community in the United States, people there live much longer than the average population. The average lifespan in the United States for probably for a male is about 84 years or so, but in Loma Linda you can find people living up into the 90s and stuff like that, which usually probably 5 to 7 years longer than typical population, and for women it can even be longer. So people tend to live a healthier and more vibrant life when they live in these blue zone areas, and they have, you know, better quality of life basically as life goes on. And we want people to be exposed. There aren't only in Loma Linda, they're in the world, but in the United States, that's the only one that we have in the United States. So we definitely need to copy from people who are living well, and we can do to live just as good as they do.
So these blue zones, the Adventist community is one of the only ones here in the United States. And you said that it's been the object of much scientific study. This group believes the body is the temple of God, and and humans as good stewards are entrusted with the dutiful and the environment that nourish it. This concept is pivotal to their philosophy. So there again, we're dealing with the philosophy. So could it be that, for those viewers who are watching, the Adventists who are watching, that our Christian tradition has this philosophy of maintaining good well-being, of health, but maybe there are some that hadn't bought into this philosophy? Right? What would you have to say? Give us some encouragement. Give us some encouragement.
You're so right, man. You're so right. And I guess this is a characteristic of human nature for a long time. When even though God outlines for us the way how we ought to behave, then we decide that we know better and we're going to choose another way to behave. It starts even the Garden of Eden, the same thing. I have Jewish friends who eat pork, and they know that they're not supposed to eat pork because the Bible not to do that, And these guys are Jewish physicians who do this, and of all people, they should know better.
Yeah,
So people tend to be disobedient because they want to pursue their own beliefs, but God does not want us to do that. When we choose His philosophy, we need to live by His philosophy, live by His guidelines. And I can guarantee you, just like we see in the blue zones, that we will see people living healthier, more productive lives, and that their quality of life will improve if they follow the designer's plan.
I think it can be nailed down with this, right? If there's anything right now that I would like for you to take home, and here's the words of Dr. Carrington: becoming healthy is not something that happens by assenting to superstitions or by some act of passage. Rather, it happens by design. So thus, the title of the book, a plan must be developed.
Yes.
People, get a plan, right? Get a plan. Plan your food. Health by choice, not by chance, right?
Yes.
A plan must be developed or adopted that guides in the formulation and maintenance of good health practices. I mean, this is just not something that happens overnight. Get you some vegetables, right? Give us a recommended diet, Doc. Just some essentials that you would recommend to us. To help in prevention. Just a simple diet. Talk to us.
The plan must be one that affects all areas of health, for your spiritual health, for your social health, for your physical health, for your emotional health. You have to make sure that there's a plan for all these things. But with regards to the physical health, as we plan, one of the most important things that we could do to maintain physical health is to plan the foods that we are going to eat. And we have sound advice that when we have a plate, that at least 50% of that plate should be fruits and vegetables, and that we should mix the colors. It should not be the same color every day or the same color only. We should mix the different colors of those fruits and vegetables that we eat on a daily basis. Half of your plate should be that. Then a quarter of your plate could be whatever protein source, the protein source that you choose. Make it a healthy protein source, not one that is dominated with fat. So you can have nuts and legumes, beans, and whole grains. Those are the things you can have to get your protein sources. Carbohydrate sources, which should be complex carbohydrates. You must be able to eat the things as naturally as
complex carbohydrates. Break that down. What is that?
Well, when I say that, you must, if you're eating rice, it should be brown rice. I personally recommend that you eat things that come from the earth. You eat, I'm from the Caribbean, so we eat yam and potato and dasheen and all the root crops basically that come. I recommend that you try to eat those more than you eat the other things that we get that are refined. We don't want any refined things, because within those ground provision foods that we have, they have lots of minerals and trace elements and all the other important nutritional things that we need to keep us healthy, and the vitamins and the phytochemicals. All those things are there in those crops. When we buy the processed ones that have been bleached and washed out and stuff like that, we're not actually getting the best nutrition possible. So we need to develop that plan, so that we can outline what we're going to have on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sabbath, or Saturday. I had a girlfriend when I was at Oakwood. When I say girlfriend, I mean a friend who was a girl.
Friend, yeah.
This young lady, she was planning to get married, and she made a list of 365 menus times 3 for all the meals that she and her husband were going to eat during the course of the day for a year. That young lady made a plan. Now, yes. Many of us don't have to be that exhaustive, but we should at least have some plan as the things that we're going to eat, so that when we go to the grocery store, we purchase the things that we need and not the things that the kids beg us for, or that we feel impulse to buy just because the advertisement is there. We make a plan and we stick to the plan. If we do that, we'll not only be healthier, but we'll also save money too.
Yeah. Hey, listen, this is great. Listen, I want to make sure that the people don't miss this point. So for reiteration, the first aspect of the designer's plan for healthy living, that is becoming health literate, know what you're eating, what you're putting in your body. The second is practicing of sound environmental stewardship. And finally, we must have access to divine power. This gives us the power to do the hard work of staying healthy. Hey, listen, staying healthy is so important, and it is necessary right now.
Yes,
this is why plan is important, Doc. You said curative care is, listen, look, read my lips, right? The doc is dropping knowledge. Curative care is usually quite costly. That is to say, health care that's given because you come down with something, in comparison to preventative care. And with limited economic resources, many individuals and communities are often challenged in securing adequate curative care. The doc is dropping knowledge. Okay, so I want you to look down in our chat. We have a link for you to put in a request to get this book. We want to send out 10 free copies to those who put your email down in the chat. We want to do this for you. We want you to have this book. Also, the idea of preventing disease by identifying and containing the source dates back to ancient times. So this whole idea of prevention is not new, right? We have to take our health seriously, and I hope that you are taking it seriously, my friend. Well, we don't have much more time, Dr. Carrington. It is escaping us, but I want to focus as we close on the pandemic. Okay, this pandemic has stressed a lot of people out, and you talked about the well-being of dealing and managing with stress. And, a lot of people aren't doing well mentally, right? Because of the pandemic. And you said here in your book, Stress Control. So in his book, he talks about how to deal with stress. Jesus says, therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, or what will you wear, for life is more than food and the body more than clothes. Stress can cause or aggravate physical and mental illness, destroy one's spirituality, and stress can kill. You talked about how forgiveness is critical in being healthy. Just end us on a note about the tension that forgiveness and stress causes on us being healthy and prospering.
Yeah, when we are not willing to forgive, when we are not willing to let go, there are various hormones and chemicals that build up in our system that can damage various organs. For instance, when you have chronic stress and this builds up, you have higher circulating levels of cortisol, and cortisol leads to increased blood sugar secretion and increased blood pressure, and all these side effects of it can lead to diabetes and hypertension and heart attacks, and ultimately cause people to die. And that's not the only hormone or only chemical that is produced. There are many other chemicals that stress produces in a person's body, and as a consequence, we suffer as a result of not controlling stress. So yes, we need to cast all our cares on Jesus. We need to learn to forgive others and move forward by the grace of God, and let him work in our lives to dominate our lives and love him and serve him most.
Hey, listen, I tell you, that is amazing. I want to thank you so much for coming on our show. We have so much more to talk about.
We can do another time, man, if you need me.
Yes. I want to end on this note. I want to end on this note here. You said in your book to seek professional advice. Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding, for she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold. Long life is in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor. There is no negative stigma on seeking professional advice. Always seek to be preventative, but when there's need for a curative measure, please seek professional advice. And we're thankful for the professional advice of Dr. Carrington. We just pray God's blessings upon you. Please leave us with the final word, a health tip, a health nugget, something that God has rest and laid upon your heart.
Well, as I said, for me, spiritual health is the core that are the glue that keeps all other health together. And as a consequence, I would encourage each one to develop a meaningful relationship with the designer, because as we do that, we're able to better implement all the principles that we gain from his word and also from the scientific community that lives around us. So we definitely need to build a meaningful and deep relationship with our Creator. And as we do that, we can become the best people ever on earth, living the healthiest lives and bringing blessings to other people in our community. And that's what I'd like to see happen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carrington. This is our time. Go put your email in the chat. We have 10 free copies we want to send out to the first that put their email. We're going to send you the Kindle copy, Design for Health. This book is amazing. I learned a lot. I am a better person for having read it. And we thank you so much for your time, Dr. Carrington. On next week, please join us again with our very own Pastor Marvin Clark. We look forward to hear from him. Change, your choice. It's going to be a powerful time. Again, this is Book It, your virtual discussion forum. We look forward to seeing you again on next week. Thank you so much, and God bless.